Mary Elizabeth Moore's reading for this week brought to mind two different biblical passages that I believe tie in well with two different extremes that the church has fallen into in the past and up to the present. The first of these is Deuteronomy chapter 20, verses 19 through 20, which I believe is representative of the extreme that some in the church and in Christian theological circles want to go to today. It begins, if you besiege a town for a long time, making war against it in order to take it, you must not destroy its trees by wielding an axe against them. Although you may take food from them, you must not cut them down. Are trees in the field human beings that they should come under siege from you? You may destroy only trees that do not produce food. You may cut them down for use in building siege works against a town that makes war with you until it falls. The reason I selected this passage is I believe it taken out of context, it can support an idea and indeed presents a good characterization of an extreme that some Christians go to today, particularly Christians who are very concerned, and I would argue hyper-concerned, about the welfare of the environment. I believe these folks take concern for the environment to an egregious extreme where creation is idolized. Not idealized, but idolized, and it becomes divine in itself. It's no longer a creation distinct from God and subordinate to God, but it becomes an extension of God. And these Christians adopt what I like to call the kill the people, save the trees approach. Then the other approach, at least in the modern period, been the one that many Christians default to, and that society in general, at least in the West, has defaulted to, ties in with the passage, the New Testament passage I want to read, which is Matthew 21, verses 18 through 22. It's the story of Jesus and the fig tree. In the morning, when he returned to the city, he was hungry, and seeing a fig tree by the side of the road, he went to it and found nothing at all on it but leaves. Then he said to it, "May no fruit ever come from you again." And the fig tree withered at once. When the disciples saw it, they were amazed, saying, "How did the fig tree wither at once?" Jesus answered them, "Truly I tell you, if you have faith and do not doubt, not only will you do what has been done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, 'Be lifted up and thrown into the sea,' it will be done. Whatever you ask for in prayer with faith, you will receive." This passage, taken in isolation, could support an idea that creation exists simply to serve human needs, and that human beings can move it around or rearrange it or do whatever with it as long as it suits their needs at the time. Obviously, that's an extreme position, and it's a distortion of this passage and what Jesus is up to here. This position is the one that I call the grow me a fig or I'll kill you position, which is the one that we respect the environment only insofar as it suits our needs. What we need to realize is that this is not a simple problem. Respecting the environment is not a problem we can boil down to talking about it at church and recycling and doing some things like that, and focusing only on saving the planet. I think the danger in that is an idealization of matter as somehow an extension of God and therefore divine in itself. And I think that's just as much a problem as destroying the environment. We need to recognize that matter matters, but matter is not an end in itself. And that all creation matters because God created it. It matters because God made it. And so my question for Professor Moore is, how can we develop teaching strategies that take into account both the fact that creation is distinct from God and subordinate to God, but also promote the idea that creation matters and that human beings, as being made in God's image as the stewards of creation, have a very important responsibility to maintain the environment while we use it. So my question would be, more concisely, how can we develop teaching strategies that promote both conservation of the environment and also human welfare? Even more succinctly, how can we develop teaching strategies? What teaching strategies should we use to promote human beings at peace with their environment, where neither the environment runs over human beings as a divine end in itself, nor do human beings destroy the environment for their own personal gain?